Hello and welcome to True Crime and the Court of Public Opinion. I'm Alexis Knight, and today we're stepping into a story that's already shaping your life, whether you know it or not. Let's talk about AI. Not the hype, not the fear, the truth. Because this isn't a sci-fi fantasy anymore, is it? It's not some future threat. It's now. This technology is already making decisions about who gets hired, who gets loans, who gets health care. And most of the time, you will never even know it was involved at all. If you've been feeling like something's, off, like the rules are changing and no one bothered to tell you, well, you're not crazy. You're just living in a world that's quietly been taken over by algorithms. This episode isn't about panic. This is about awareness. Because when systems become invisible, they also become unaccountable. Today we're pulling back the curtain. You'll hear what AI is already doing in your life behind the scenes. We'll trace how it started creeping in. We'll ask the big question no one wants to say out loud. Are we just moths drawn to a flame? One that will burn us out before we understand how close we've gotten? Let's get into it. Let's start with a truth most people haven't said out loud yet. AI didn't sneak into your life through ChatGPT. You know, guys, it has been here long before the first viral chatbot. And if you're only just now noticing it, that's by design. It didn't just walk through the front door. It came in through the pipes. Let me show you what I mean. Think about the last job you applied for. Did it feel like your resume sort of disappeared into the void? You polished your words, you submitted on time, you followed every instruction, and then nothing. That silence may not have come from a human. It may have come from an algorithm. Because what most people don't realize is that over 90% of Fortune 500 companies now use AI-driven applicant tracking systems. That's ATS to you and me. And not just to manage resumes, but to filter them before a human ever sees them. You can be rejected without a person ever even knowing your name. Not for your experience, but for having the right score. That's AI. It's already making decisions about your future quietly in the background. And that's just the beginning. AI is everywhere. But the most dangerous part, it's invisible. Facial recognition software is now embedded in public spaces if you didn't know. Your malls, your sports arenas, and your airports. It's tracking who enters and who exits. In some cases, it's identifying flagged individuals without their knowledge. In other cases, it's being used by retailers to quietly track repeat customers or suspected shoplifters. In New York, a woman was recently denied entry to a concert venue. Okay, and not because she committed a crime. It was because she worked at a law firm that was suing the company who owned the venue. It scanned her face, it cross-referenced it, and it denied her entry. She never gave consent to any of this, and she never had a chance to appeal. That's not even an option. And no one told her this was happening or was going to happen or could happen until it just did. That's AI. And that's the world we're in. They're letting you figure it out on your own. All of it. They don't need to tell you anything or explain it. Nope. So let's move closer to home. Have you ever had a medical bill denied or questioned without any explanation? Many health insurers now use AI tools to pre-screen claims. They scan for suspicious patterns, sometimes flagging and denying cases that don't match their preferred criteria before a human doctor reviews them. In fact, internal audits show some systems automatically deny tens of thousands of claims per month, often with error rates high enough to raise legal concerns, and that concerns me. You never meet the algorithm, but you're going to meet the consequences. And then there's that predictive policing, and I talked about this the other day, and I let you know that we're going to have a lot of this going on. It's all part of the playlist that I'm putting together on YouTube. If you want to go there, and I'm labeling this playlist Terms You Didn't Agree to. This episode's definitely going under that. In multiple cities, AI tools are now used to determine where crimes might occur or who is likely to commit them. This could be good and bad. I mean, it sounds efficient until you realize the training data is often racially biased and historically flawed, which means the AI simply reinforces old prejudice in some cases. But with a digital face and a data-driven excuse, who are you going to complain to then? People are arrested, monitored, and profiled not for what they've done, but for what a machine thinks they might do. Ever see Minority Report? I mean, that's not accountability. That's automation masquerading as justice. You still think you're not involved? Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen an ad for something you only thought about, but never typed? You whispered something to a friend. You mentioned it in passing. And then suddenly, there it was in your feed, right? We've kind of all had that experience, most people. No, your phone isn't listening, but AI is tracking your behavioral pattern. What you pause on, how fast you scroll, where your eyes linger. Yep, apps can track that now. Not all apps. It's building a model of who it thinks you are, and it serves you content designed to tilt your choices, even before you realize they're being influenced. It's not just showing you what you want, it's helping shape what you want. That's AI. And let's go deeper. There's a system being used right now in some courtrooms to actually recommend sentencing lengths based on risk assessments. Did you know that was happening? A person's past, neighborhood, income level, and education history are all fed into a machine, and it generates a recommendation. Probation or prison, 6 months or 5 years. And judges are starting to lean on this. No, the system does not understand human complexity. It understands patterns. And sometimes patterns don't tell the whole truth, though, do they? They tell the most convenient version of it, though. Something we can work with fast. That's not to understand. It's just to work fast. Do you see the theme here? I mean, it's not that AI is evil. It's that it is invisible. It makes it so that there is nowhere to go. If you want to talk to someone about something that happened to you, it's shaping outcomes without any transparency. I mean, zero. And when you don't know it's there, you can't even question it. You cannot appeal it. You cannot fight back because you don't even know it was in the room. And if anything does happen that you notice, you're not going to go back and fix it. And there's no one to talk to about it. This is the silent invasion. Not robots taking over cities, not machines screaming rebellion. Just quiet lines of code making decisions that used to belong to people. And in most cases, you're never even going to know until it's too late, of course. And that's the part no one wants to talk about. But I'm talking about it because this means the game has already changed. And so many people out there don't even know that. Most of us are still playing by the old rules, but at some point, those rules are going to be yanked out from under you. And hey, it's not like you missed the beginning of this AI story. You were never meant to see it. The truth is, this did not start with ChatGPT or DALL-E or the day your cousin showed you a deep fake of Morgan Freeman rapping. This was the performance layer, the part they want you to see. The real beginning happened years ago, quietly, in the back offices of tech companies, government agencies, and financial institutions. So let's go back. You want to really know something more than just a headline feeds you? Well, you're in it right now. Let's go back to 2012. A group of researchers at the University of Toronto trained a deep neural network to identify objects in photos better than any system before it. This was called AlexNet, and it demolished the competition at the ImageNet Challenge, which is a major milestone in computer vision. Most people, though, didn't even hear about this. But inside Silicon Valley, this was a bombshell because it proved something that was only theory before that. Machines could learn. They're able to do it. Not just follow instructions, but teach themselves how to get better at a task by running through data and adjusting again and again and again. But from that point on, the floodgates opened. Let's move on to 2014 to 2016. AI went commercial and fast. Big companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon and Apple started pouring billions into deep learning, not to build artificial consciousness, not to make robots, but to do something far more profitable. What's that? Well, predict human behavior. I mean, come on, guys, they've been using psychology on us for years. How else do they get us to do everything all the time? They want to know, what would you click? What would you buy? What could you be nudged into wanting? These systems don't need to be creative. They need to be accurate. This is a whole different ballgame. They need to be accurate in predicting what you are going to do next. In 2016, something happened that cracked the public conversation wide open. There was a program called AlphaGo, developed by DeepMind. It beat a world champion at the game of Go. That's one of the most complex strategy games that's ever been created. And Go isn't about brute force. It's about intuition. It was assumed that AI couldn't handle it because Go required human feeling. Well, AlphaGo didn't just win. It invented new strategies that no human had ever seen before. It played moves that seemed absurd until they worked. That moment, it changed everything because it meant that AI was not just mimicking us, it was outthinking us in unfamiliar territory. Did you hear about it? Again, that was in 2016. It all stayed quiet, didn't it? Because while the headlines were talking about chess and Go and the self-driving cars, the real deployment was happening where no one was looking. Resume screening, insurance approvals, loan risk scoring, advertising pipelines, even election analytics. AI was not rolled out as a single invention. It was embedded, one decision at a time, into the pipes of our society. Every time you interacted with a system that maybe felt different, a little cold, that made a decision without a clear reason, that didn't let you speak to a real person, there was a decent chance that you were already interacting with AI. But you didn't see it. Didn't look like a robot. Looked like bureaucracy. Looked like a lot of silence, maybe rejection without appeal. Yep. Then came 2020 to 2022. And yep, while we were all under a mandate, AI exploded. OpenAI, Stability AI, and others brought text, image, and audio models to the public. ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney, 11 Labs all became a part of the cultural lexicon almost overnight. But even then, what you saw was the surface, if you saw anything. The surface, that's the fun layer. Behind it, these same tools were being layered into content moderation tools, automated surveillance systems, financial market simulations, customer service replacement programs, education software that grades and sorts and even disciplines. How would that work? I mean, by the time the average person typed their first message into chat, AI was already in the courtroom, was already in the classrooms, in your hospitals, in billing, in your ad feed. Just wasn't visible. Not yet. And now? Well, now we're in the acceleration phase, which means AI is no longer rolling out, okay? We've passed all that if you missed it. It's reinventing systems in real time. And no one's asking the people being impacted. There was no public voting, no community decisions here, no opt-out forms mailed to your house, wasn't even announced. This just happened to you. One update at a time, and there is nothing you're going to do about it. So if you have been feeling like the world got weird lately, like choices are being made without logic or context, like maybe there's some invisible filter between you and the people making decisions, you are not imagining this. You're not behind. You were just never really invited to the meeting. This did not start last year. This started over a decade ago. The only difference now is that you're finally starting to see it. And the next question is, now that you do, can you avoid it? That really is, at first everyone wants chat, and now it seems people are, I don't want to deal with AI, right? Well, let's explore. Can you really avoid this? Because in a world where AI is everywhere, what does it actually mean to opt out? And can you? I mean, that usually is our ability, right? We usually have the ability to say, I don't want that. I'll just opt out. That's our instinct sometimes. Pull the plug, log off. Don't use the apps. Just don't ask chatbot. Stay human, stay analog. But here's the problem. You're not opting out of a product. You're trying to opt out of an infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't really ask for your permission, does it? If you're a little confused, let me show you what I mean. Okay, imagine you decide to live off grid, right? People do this. You don't use Google, you delete your social media, you stop streaming, you stop shopping online, and you go full on old school. Cool. But then your doctor's office starts using AI to prioritize appointment bookings and process diagnostic suggestions. Your insurance company adopts predictive fraud detection to flag claims, including yours. Your loan application is reviewed by a machine, not a human. Your child's school uses AI to detect emotional risk in submitted essays. Your local police department installs predictive crime software in your neighborhood, and your municipality sells traffic camera data to a third-party AI training company. Suddenly, it just doesn't matter that you opted out because you were never really in. You just are part of the system. You were just unaware of it. AI is not a choice, not in the way you think it is. I mean, can you avoid AI? And the answer is not in the way you might hope. Really, that is the answer. I mean, you can avoid the toys, the chatbots, the trending tools, but you are not going to avoid the underlying shift that is happening in our world, in our country, because this isn't about gadgets. This is about governance. It's not about choose your own tech world anymore, not at this level. It's a system where really you are the input. It's your data, your face, your voice, your behavior. And the one thing about data is it does not ask for consent. It's just scrapped. It's bought. It's repurposed. It's sold in bulk. Yep, that's you. Even AI researchers themselves have sounded alarms on this. And that should be something that we should all be discussing as a society. They admit they don't fully understand how some of their own systems arrive at the decisions they do. That is dangerous. I mean, it's unsettling. In many cases, there's no appeal, and I know I keep saying that, but this is important. You're not going to ask to speak to a supervisor. You can't file a complaint with a chat bot. And that brings me to one of the most important truths of all here. Who are you going to call when it's AI? Seriously. When something goes wrong, when your claim is denied, or your child is flagged, or your job application just disappears and dissolves, or your account is suddenly locked, even your financials. Did you catch my episode yesterday? Go listen to that. I mean, who do you contact? The company? Well, they'll say it's just the system. Who do you contact? The company? Well, they're going to tell you, hey, it's the system. And the system has no face. Certainly has no phone number, no escalation path. It's just an invisible wall that tells you, hey, the decision's been made. Go live with it. That's the accountability crisis, really, that no one's talking about loudly enough. It's hard enough to get a real person on the phone these days. I have to share this frustration with so many of you out there. And now imagine that there's no person that ever existed at all. You can't press 0. You're not doing anything. It doesn't get tired. It's not going to feel shame. It doesn't care about context. It doesn't care about you. I mean, right now in most industries, this is very important. There are no laws forcing companies to explain to you when they're using AI or how it is working. Their employees probably don't even get it. Let's be clear, AI isn't inherently malicious. That's not what this is about, but it is a tool you need to understand, because when you do have questions, there's going to be no one to ask. This tool is only as ethical, though, as the incentives behind it, the human factor. And we know in the world out there today, the human factor can go one of two ways, good or bad. If that incentive is profit, speed, or efficiency, then justice and nuance in context, they tend to get lost in the shuffle. We see it now. We're going to see it even more then. People get sorted into categories. That's already happening. Denied without review, pushed towards certain choices without even knowing they were guided there. And worst of all, blame becomes impossible to assign. This is what you're going to notice, the frustration levels. No one takes responsibility when a machine makes the call. They just shrug and say, hey, that's what the system recommended. And just like that, the human cost becomes background noise. So what can you do? Well, you can't escape AI. But I'm here to help you maybe see it. Once you see it, you can ask better questions, demand disclosure, support regulations that require transparency. This is going to be very important. Choose services that offer human backup. Speak out when a decision feels unjust, and stop pretending you're just a user. Okay, you are a person. You are a data source to them, a profile, a pattern to be analyzed, unless you push back. This isn't a warning bell, okay? This is a reality check. I'm not warning you about anything, really. I'm telling you what is already happening, because so many people don't know. And there is no going back to a pre-AI world. So that dream, dead, gone. But there is a way forward with awareness. We need that regulation, and we need human oversight. Because the minute we stop asking who is responsible, we accept a future where nobody's responsible. And that's the most dangerous system of all, isn't it? Where everyone is impacted and no one is accountable. Can't imagine. And so here we are. You know what AI is doing now. You know when it started. You know you can't truly avoid it. And now the question that opened this episode circles back like a spotlight. Are we just moths drawn to a flame, one that will burn us before we realize we are too close? Let's talk about this. Moths don't fly toward flames because they want to be burned. They do it because light was once a guide. For thousands of years, light meant safety. It meant navigation, direction, clarity. But the modern flame, it's not a guide. It consumes. The danger isn't that we're stupid, guys. It's that we're programmed to follow what once felt like truth. AI is our flame. It glows with promise. It offers shortcuts, convenience, endless productivity. It solves problems, makes content, answers questions in seconds. It feels like the next step in human evolution. But it's not human. If we don't understand what we're moving toward, if we don't question the brightness, then we risk becoming creatures chasing glow without purpose, drawn in, blinded, and then burned. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not an episode about fear. This is an episode about clarity. Because AI is incredible. It can improve medicine, optimize supply chains, personalize education, and help the world in ways that feel miraculous. But without accountability, even a miracle can become a weapon. And we all should know this. The systems we build to help us can just as easily erase us if no one is watching. And so the question isn't really, is AI bad? It's who controls it, who profits from it, and who gets to say no. Right now, those answers are fuzzy, and that is the problem I see. Because power without transparency, it's always dangerous, and we all know that. And AI is a new form of power. It is faster, quieter. It can hide behind the scenes, and it is more persuasive than anything that has come before it. We've already seen the first warning signs. The student falsely accused of plagiarism by an AI detector. The woman locked out of her account with no human to call. The job seeker rejected by an algorithm for reasons they will never get to know. The parole board leaning on a predictive software instead of listening to someone's real story. Again, these are not sci-fi plots. They are happening in your world right now. They don't make the news because they don't look dramatic, and hey, why draw attention to something that's going to take over your life? They look like red tape, like a system glitch, like, sorry, hey, we just can't help you. But they are, piece by piece, reshaping the fabric of fairness. And if we don't stop and look, guys, we're going to normalize this, and then you really will have no choice. And that is why I am bringing this to light in this episode. It's serious. I'm not here to tell you to throw away your phone. I'm not to panic you into deleting your accounts, but to say this. You deserve to understand what's happening around you and to you. Not after it's already decided your fate, not when it's too late to ask why, but right now when you can still speak up, while we can still build something better. We also have to be clear-eyed about what is already happening, because AI is not just an idea anymore. I keep saying that, but there's a reason for that. We have to accept this. It is active. It is embedded. It is very real. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. One that I hope gives you some hope, and one that should absolutely stop you in your tracks. Let's start with what AI can do right. There is a children's hospital in Boston using AI to scan thousands of MRI images looking for early signs of brain tumors that even experienced doctors can miss. It's not replacing the doctors, but it is enhancing their vision, speeding up diagnosis, and catching anomalies earlier. This, of course, is saving lives and being done quietly. That is AI at its best, a tool that serves humanity. A second set of eyes, not a hidden hand pulling strings. It doesn't replace the doctor, it supports the doctor's judgment. When we talk about building something better, this is what we mean: systems that amplify human wisdom, not erase it. Kind of like how people feel very satisfied when they're using chat for the first time. It helps enhance what you're trying to do. But now let me show you the other side of the story. Also, what's going on. There's a woman in Michigan, this is a real story, who was arrested at her home in front of her children. This is because an AI-powered facial recognition system falsely identified her as the suspect in a shoplifting case. This woman wasn't even in the store. However, the surveillance camera flagged her anyway. Well, the system in the camera. And the officers didn't even question it because the machine had spoken and it must be right. They trusted the tech blindly, not the woman. She spent the night in jail. She lost work. She was publicly humiliated, mentally affected. And then later, this case was just kind of dropped quietly. There was no apology, no compensation. Remember when that used to happen? Well, yeah, we don't need to do that anymore. Just trauma and silence. That's AI certainly not at its best. An unchecked authority with no understanding of nuance, no ability to admit it's wrong, and no one taking responsibility for the damage it causes. And when people say, well, that's rare, I mean, that can't happen to me, you have to ask, how would you even know? Because it can. And then there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. Because these systems don't tell you when they're being used. They don't ask if they're correct. They don't disclose their error rates. And there's no 800 number to call when your life is wrecked by an AI misfire. So, yes, AI can be brilliant, but it also can be brutal. And the difference between the two, it's not the code. It's the intent behind it. Again, the human factor. It's the transparency around it. They need to build it and make it so that it is clear and open for everyone to see how it's being used and what is going on. And right now, it's not. It needs accountability built into it. Because right now, there is nothing. And if we want to talk about societal structure and order, just imagine what no accountability is going to do or can do. One saves lives, one scenario. The other ruins lives. Both are happening right now, simultaneously at the same time. There's nothing anyone's going to do about it. Hope it doesn't happen to you because it's happening to someone right now. We are at a crossroads. We can keep pretending this is all just super cool tech, or we can start deciding on what kind of system we want to live under. What kind of system we can survive under. Because while we may not be able to put that genie back in the bottle, we can absolutely decide who holds the lamp. But that isn't an option for us right now, but we can make it one if we stay aware and stay on it and stay involved. It's a lot, and I know it. Let's end this episode with something useful. Now that we've pulled the curtain back, here are 5 places AI is already showing up in your life, quietly, consistently, and sometimes in surprisingly helpful ways. And don't worry, this is not a horror list. Remember, this is about awareness. We need to be aware, not panic. And I promise I'm going to leave you with a little bit of hope. All right, your inbox, it's not just organized, it's also judging you, by the way. That promotions tab, that important label that magically just sort of shows up next to some emails but not others, well, that's all AI. Most email platforms are now using machine learning to decide what is worth your attention, what can probably get buried, and what might get you to click. The fix? Check your spam once in a while. Don't assume AI got it right. We don't want to get lazy and let AI do the thinking. That's how that woman got arrested when she wasn't even in the store. Don't let that happen in your everyday life. Sometimes the most important email is the one that AI might not think that mattered. You need to still think for yourself. That is my biggest advice. All right, how about your GPS? If you didn't know, it knows things you never even told it. That perfect traffic reroute, or that eerie way your phone knows where you're headed, like the usual grocery store, well, that's all AI also. It's reading your patterns, not just traffic patterns. I'm talking your human patterns. And while that can be helpful, it also means that you're training AI about you without realizing it. Want to slow that tracking? Hey, turn off frequent locations in your settings. It's a small move, big awareness. Go ahead. Don't be afraid of turning that off. Be afraid of leaving it on. How about your shopping habits? Well, they're creating a digital doppelganger of you. Whether you're buying yoga pants or protein powder, AI is building a version of you in the background. It's using this ghost profile to guess what you're going to want next, what ads to show you, what products to recommend to you, and even what discounts to offer you, or maybe you don't need a discount today. You can't stop the tracking entirely, but you can confuse the algorithm. Just click on some random things once in a while. Shake the whole thing up. Remind it you are not a formula. You are an individual that can do what you want. How about your streaming queue? All right, well, it definitely has a bias. That because you watched section, yeah, that's not neutral. I'm sure you know that one already, but AI models prioritize what's likely to keep you watching. They want you streaming all day, folks. Not what's necessarily balanced or new or might be exciting to you. Just what will keep you glued and doing nothing else. So if you started watching one crime documentary, for example, you're probably going to get fed a dozen more. Makes sense. And maybe, though, you're going to miss something hopeful you'd actually love. Okay? And without realizing, now you're deep into crime docs, maybe a little depressed, a little overloaded, because it all happened to you. You have to stay thinking for yourself. All right, how about your voice assistant? Because that's becoming a pretty big thing, right? Everyone, it's easy. Just call it up. It does what you want. Well, it's also learning your mood. So, for instance, if you're using Alexa or Siri or Google Assistant, these systems are starting to pick up more than just words. They're analyzing your tone, pitch, and emotional markers. I talk about it all the time. Your emotions are the target. All they need is one. They want to know if you're stressed, if you're tired, if you're frustrated. It's very subtle, but it's also very real. You want to stay human? Try this. Say thank you and say it out loud after a command. You're not doing it for the machine, you're doing it for you. Stay present, intentional, and grounded. You don't want to turn into a chatbot as a human, do you? You want to stay human. It sounds unnecessary or maybe silly, but trust me, it's not. AI adapts to patterns, so build yours with care, because before you know it, you'll be acting in ways that aren't really your ways. They're just ways that make it easier for AI to influence you. That's what's happening. And really, that's the key here. I'll write all of this. You don't have to fear AI per se, but you do have to stay awake. I can't say that enough. Technology is always evolving. The question is whether we're letting it shape us without thinking, or shaping ourselves alongside it with full awareness. I prefer option B. You are not powerless. You are not lost in the noise. And you're not a moth. I want to leave you with something you can do. Not just something to think about, something you can actually start. And we're calling it the Alexis Algorithm Detox. It is a list, a mindset, a set of small actions that can help you shake loose from the quiet, sticky grip of digital influence. Because here's the truth, guys. You cannot get rid of AI, as we've discussed. You cannot escape algorithms, as we've discussed. But you can clean your signal. You can stay digitally clear. What does that mean? Well, it means choosing what you want to think about instead of being nudged 1,000 invisible times a day. It means not letting a shopping cart or a feed or a GPS reroute your attention without your consent. It means noticing when something is shaping you and reclaiming the steering wheel before it goes too far. That's what the detox list is for. And this is not a one-time fix. This is maintenance, because the systems don't stop working on you. You cannot stop checking in with yourself. So each time we cover AI here on True Crime and the Court of Public Opinion, I'll be adding this detox. It's going to grow, it's going to change, and it'll become sort of algorithmic hygiene, if you will, a way to protect your digital autonomy in a world that's constantly trying to stick its fingers into your mind. And yes, that is exactly what's happening. Digital systems are reaching everywhere, trying to cling to your choices, shape your identity, redirect your emotions, and weaken your original intentions. But here's the part that matters. You are not a passive participant in this world. You are capable of filtering and seeing, and you are more than the data points they build to simulate you. And so today we are starting with the first 5 items in the Alexis Algorithm Detox, the ones I mentioned. You should do these things. Check your inbox manually. Turn off frequent locations on your phone. Confuse your shopping algorithm. Click unexpected items. Don't just scroll. Search for things in your Netflix, in your YouTube. Be the mind. And say thank you to your voice assistant, and I mean it, not for the bot, for your own clarity and connection to yourself. Stay intentional with your commands. Some of these things, again, may sound silly or insignificant, but I just did a whole podcast on this. It's not insignificant. Your first 5 detox moves. Simple, actionable, and repeatable. And in the future episodes, we're going to add some more, because staying digitally clear should be a practice, not a panic button. Because by then, guys, it'll be too late to get that stuff done. You've been listening to True Crime and the Court of Public Opinion with Alexis Knight. That's me. Not a crime story today in a traditional sense, but this was about power and the systems that move around us silently, constantly, until they shape the very world we live in. This episode is not meant to scare you. It's made so that you could see, because that's where real control starts in your life, not with fear, but with awareness, not with retreat, but with deliberate action. And you now have your first 5 steps in the Alexis Algorithm Detox, your baseline for staying digitally clear in an age of invisible influence. And trust me, we are not done. This detox is going to grow. It will evolve and come back every time we cover AI. So stay tuned, stay sharp, and don't hand over your decisions without knowing who or what is shaping them. Because in the court of public opinion, truth matters. And in a world of algorithms, you still get to decide what is real. Stay safe out there, guys. Ask the difficult questions and always demand the truth. Stay awake, stay human, and don't fly blind. Until next time, I'm Alexis Knight.